My name is Jack Carstens. I'm the founder of the David and Jonathan Foundation and the Salem Biblical Garden in Paarl. And I'm standing today with Major Rami Sherman, who was in the Entebbe Raid and was right there in the action and took place about 44 years ago, but it's still remembered by the world. Rami, can you just tell me a little bit about the background to this raid? Because I know that it was an Air France plane that was actually hijacked, and then it came to Uganda. And I don't know if everybody knows, why did it go to Uganda and to Idi Amin, the stronghold of that dictator there?
It's a good question, which I'm not sure if I know the answer. I'm still looking. Why the terrorists, and when I said terrorists, it's not only Palestinian. The leader was two German, member of Bader-Meinhof, and it was two from South America. So it was an international group.
Okay.
And we have to remember, the most of the passengers who were on the plane was non-Jews. So at the beginning, it wasn't a terror attack against Israel or the Jews.
Oh, okay.
140 non-Jews and 105 Jews from Israel and abroad, in diaspora. So
what did they want?
the question is, from that there is a few questions awake. Is Idi Amin was involved in the preparation of the operation? That he knew that there is a plan to, Air France plan to land in Entebbe, or just he got in a position to get advantages from that situation? Because no doubt from the first hour, he was very much involved till the end. So it's a question about that. It's a big question, at least for me, to know. There is a few ideas in Israel. No doubt he was involved, but still, was involved in the preparation.
Yeah, because he had converted to Islam, and was that part of the scenario, or was it just by chance? You still don't know really.
Probably they found country. When Idi Amin became more and more need support by the Islam world, by Russia, they offer him a cheap oil and cheap weapon and a cheap jet fighter plane. So for him, it was easy to transfer for being a very friendly country to Israel, when he became a chief of staff and then a president in 71 and then in 72. No, the story that he wanted to get from Israel a jet fighter plane. But of course, that's not a deep reason, because he immediately transferred to the big part, ally of Russia and all these branches. So that.
I'm asking just to find out the personalities behind it, because other personalities, of course, were the ones in Israel that had to make the decision to come and fetch the Jewish people. Because I know there's Shimon Peres was the Minister of Defense, and was it Mr. Rabin that was the Prime Minister?
Minister, the first term.
How did they feel? Were they very keen to come?
I just would like to be back to end something about Idi Amin before I jump to that.
Right.
We have to remember one thing. Idi Amin passed away in 2003 in Saudi Arabia.
Saudi, that's right.
And he was at that time in a mental hospital.
Wow.
He suffered from schizophrenia, bipolar disease. And somehow we can see, at least my eyes, that at 76 there is a two different person in one man.
Okay.
No doubt he was a dictator. No doubt it was a civil war in Uganda. No doubt that he killed a lot before and killed Dora Bloch just at the end and killed 250 Kenyatis because his anger about our success. No doubt about it. But at the same time, and we have to admit it, you see, he gave the hostages a place to stay. He gave them not enough, but at least mattress, blanket. He served them 3 meals a day. We can say a good, a bad, but
He did it. Yeah.
no one of the Ugandan soldiers touched any one of the hostages. He gave the terrorists to do what they want. So there is 2 aspects, but we have to look on the 2 aspects and not only as a dictator and said.
So,
His personal doctor, a Muslim doctor, arrived every day and gave them malaria pill
okay.
and support for their collapse, whatever they could personally. He was the one who took Dora Bloch to Kampala when on Friday afternoon when he swallowed a fish bone. So it's not only, a black man, it's a colorful man. At the end, of course, he was a dictator and everything was in his hand. But we can't look at him just on one level, on one color.
Oh, that's very interesting. And now also the Israeli personalities like Shimon Peres, he was the Minister of Defense, did he immediately say, let's go, or should we wait? We're not sure. What's the position on the ground? I know it must have been a difficult decision.
First of all was a debate, how to move forward with that. So when the Israeli government understood that there is a situation where now French is out, when they took all the non-Jewish passengers back to Paris, it's a time for Israel to move in.
But just tell me, how did you feel about that the French actually just were happy to take the French and leave all the Jewish people there? That sounds like it couldn't have gone down too well.
First of all, when I was 23 years old, it wasn't the issue that I took in response. Okay. First of all, it was other level, the government, the diplomatic relation. But in a year's time, especially in the last 4 years, it was very difficult to get information from French. And not because of the language. Somehow they don't like to talk. They always said, nah, it's okay, it was that, it was others. Somehow it's hard, while if I meet people from other countries, they share what they think. And it's a question why they decide such a decision. So one answer which I got, it's look logically, but it's not. They said, look, in such a situation, if you save 140, was it a good decision or bad decision?
You saved.
You saved half of that.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's just a philosophy question. It's hard to say something, especially when it was only 30 years after the end of the Second World War, of the Holocaust. When you divide, you're not divided by countries, you divide by beliefs.
Wow.
So it's a different story. The separation, the selection, again, and led by 2 Germans, and for the Holocaust survivors, to listen to German with gun, and there were some brutal, especially the woman. So how that calculated by French, I'm not sure. Giscard d'Estaing, he was the president. He wasn't very friendly to Israel at that time. But what is the real story behind? I'm waiting to the time to come to open the door for the secret on that.
That must all be revealed.
That's right, exactly.
Okay, let's jump quickly now to what happened in Israel with the debate about
So as a government, they divided mainly to three different ideas how to move forward. The first one was the chief of staff, Motagur. And Motagur brought on Wednesday night position when he said, I'm against military action, which is very important word, because usually we think generals running forward on a horse, whatever soldiers killed, but the medal is on the general and not on the soldiers. Okay. And then there is a general, the chief of staff.
Doesn't want to go.
And he said, by important reason, he said, we haven't got a concrete information what happened over there. So how can we send, young officer brought me a beautiful idea, but it's end, as he said, it's end like the American who tried to invade Cuba in '62, and it's felt. It was a catastrophe. So I'm not sending force in such a situation unless we got important information, what happened ever.
Calculated risk. Yeah.
And the other thing, what he put on the front of the minister, that the pilot hasn't got ability to land on a dark airport in case the Ugandan realize that we are on our way. The first action probably would be to light off the light. So that the head of the army brings this position. So it's very important to remember. Shimon Peres, he pushed from the first moment for action. And he pushed for that for two reasons. The man, because he was the defense minister, and in such a situation, he thought that Israel could take a risk. It was a huge risk to take. But apart from that, to all the calculation, we have to understand what happened in the Jewish world. During that week, information arrived in Israel that the connection, the reason why, what the Jews, no, let's say it differently. The Jews, from 48 till 76, 30 years, they stood of the existence of Israel as the most important cornerstone of their saving, their existence. And that creates every country in a different way, depending on the mentality of the community and how big they are, but it was a good relation. And now there is 105 hostages, Jews hostages. What next? If Israel couldn't do anything, what will happen to us? So it was a very important moment for the Jewish people around the world. And he said, we must try to bring the hostages, but not only for them, just to bring back to the Jews around the world the feeling that the existence of Israel is for saving life of Jews.
Yes.
The existence of the state.
And you can now make your own decisions.
And that's why this story, why so many Jewish community invited me, just to remind, to refresh again the connection between the two communities, the Jews in Israel and the Jews in the diaspora.
That's amazing.
So that was, I can say that mostly Shimon Peres. Yitzhak Rabin, as a prime minister, he was different personality. He had some experience of the military situation. And he accepted what Motagur said. that he is against. So he said that Israel should change their policy by fighting with the terrorists for negotiating with the terrorists. And at the end of the meeting, Thursday early morning, the government's vote and all the ministers put their finger up for one decision, to open negotiation with the terrorists. Yitzhak Rabin position.
Yeah, and that's probably the policy not to negotiate with terrorists.
But they said secretly to the army, if you bring a military plan, discuss, and we'll see what could be. So to develop a military option, Shimon Peres took it with the Deputy Chief of Staff, Kuti Adam. There was two, together with the commander of the Israeli Air Force, Benny Peled. Three of them, they were on the top from the eye level to push for plan, creating a plan, military plan.
Just as a matter of interest, was Moshe Dayan still involved or not?
Yes.
In the 73 war, wasn't he?
He was a defense minister in 73 war, and then he exists till the next election, 74, when Golda Meir chose again, and he was a defense minister.
But he didn't
And then he resigned. After a while, because, you know, the public pushed him out. And in 76, Shimon Peres, almost every day, took advice from him.
Oh, is it? Okay, so he
And then on Thursday, he offered him to fly over to Entebbe and to open discussion with Idi Amin. He said, I could do it.
Wow.
But very quick, people said, no, we don't need 106, hostages. We have enough for 105.
All right, so just finally, I want to tell you that it's been very nice talking to you, because on the 4th of July, 1976, I was at Lod Airport when you flew in with the hostages, and the whole of Israel just went completely mad. Everybody was in the streets. I remember everybody shouting and being so excited. We got the hostages. They came back. It was successful mission, and it was just like chaos in Israel.
It was a chaos.
And how did you feel about the people and their reaction?
We landed in airbase, not in Lod Airport, of course.
True. Yes, but
we landed another one.
Yeah.
And it was a mixed feeling. First of all, we lost our commander, Yoni Netanyahu.
That's true.
So that's the first feeling. And for me personally, I worked with him very in intimate relation for 1 year.
Yeah.
So that's one feeling. So it's not just, a big event and chaos and that. Of course, it's paint mostly, but personally, in our unit, that one. So as we drove to our unit, it was already a new commander there. And, because at the 76, we were very, very strong occupied of secrets. And to educate ourselves, today it's a totally different, that's another story. But at 76, we shouldn't say that we were there. Even that we were in Entebbe.
Wow.
Even to our parents.
That's true.
For my girlfriend, now she is my wife, I told her that secretly under the blanket, that was the only thing, it was a secret, I can say. So we drove to our base, and as I said, it was okay, we did it. At 76, the atmosphere in Israel, in the army, and of course in our unit, there is no possibility to represent feeling, emotion. Yeah, we did our job, and now let's move forward. Nothing...
Well, I can tell you as a Christian who is a Christian Zionist, in the sense that we've been longing to see the birth of the state of Israel as it's prophesied in the Bible, and it came to fruition. And here you are stamping your authority on your state and who you are and saving the Jewish people. And I know a lot of Christian people that were so encouraged that this was successful, that you saved those people, and that we could also come and congratulate you and say well done, because you're not alone. You've got the whole Christian world, in a sense, also being happy with you for that great achievement. So well done. It's a lovely memory, and I'm so glad I was able to meet you.
Thank you. Even it's a corona. Look, we are saved. God with us.
Amen.